Hey guys, welcome back to the Interceptor. We're here with another Alliance War video, and this is probably the earliest that I've ever recorded an Alliance War video, at least this season, because lately I've been recording them the morning after, because that's when I have to fight due to the time zones here. But I'm actually recording this the night before the war's over. So, ISO8A has matched up against FSI. I believe they're the lowest opponents we've faced this season. CADBL might have been a lower rating. I'm actually not sure about that. Yeah, it's a good war. I have 3 attackers, and I'm actually using all 3, so no synergy, no pre-fight champions. And I have 6 fights this war, including the Ebony that I actually took already this season. That went really well. It's going to go slightly worse this time, but it's still going to go all right. I just took out all 3 attackers. I'm actually going to be using Doom again. So you have the team of Doom, Quake. I actually didn't see her at first, but she was like right at the start. And Moleman, who is back once again. Moleman only has 1 fight, but he's going to do pretty well in that fight. So when I was first assigned, I was assigned with the team of Moleman, Dr. Doom, and White Magneto. Or Mr. Fantastic. I don't actually remember. And then I said, okay, that's cool. And actually, sorry, no, it was Mr. Fantastic. And he actually wanted me to use the Mr. Fantastic debuffs on my own fights. And I'm like, there's nothing to worry about for those fights. I don't need it. I don't need the Mr. Fantastic. So if you want me to take a mini or something, or White Mags or whoever, just bring someone else, let me know. And then he said, okay, bring in Quake and you'll take this fight with her. And then I'm like, can I just take this fight as well with Quake? So this is Miles Morales on the first node of Path 2, Section 1. And I was assigned to take this with Moleman. The strategy was going to be throw on suicides so that I start with 2 monster masks after they get shrugged off. 1 parry heavy would get me to my 6 monster mass, and I could enter Fury. And the strategy was that I would max deep wounds with suicides, and I would just never use a special, and this guy would die before he got to like 6 or 7 Furies. That was the strategy. But obviously, if I eat an L1, I would have my invulnerability boost, but if I ate additional hits, I would die due to this strategy. And Frenzy could run out if he spammed his special attacks. But yeah, Miles Morales, he's not a high ground defender, so we're just going to Quake him. And for this Quake fight, I don't have suicides, but for my next one I do. I actually could have taken at least 2 more of my fights with Quake. I could have taken 4, but I'm going to use champions that are faster in the matchups. And yeah, so I was told to use Moleman for it, and then I'm like, can I just use Quake if I have Quake on my team? He's like, sure, use Quake. And I do feel much, much safer with Quake. And this is going to be a perfect Quake fight. My other one, not so much. But you guys will see that soon. So just barely over a minute. Miles Morales has a decently low health pool, so that makes sense. Now we'll go into the next one, and this is the fight that the title is about. Great War with one very ugly fight. This is the one very ugly fight. And this is going to be a rank 3 6-star Kraven on the second node, the one with Brute Force and Power Focus 1. And when I fought Kraven in the Cav event quest, obviously it was the month where you could charge up your champions on previous nodes. So what I did is I charged up Corvus, and I just cheesed him every time, and he died in 1 special too. Because of that, I did read his abilities, but one line that I missed is the fact that he reduces the duration of non-damaging debuffs every time he has a non-damaging debuff. So I'm not going to notice that until it's too late, and I'm not able to land parries anymore. And right now, the fight is going beautifully. I had never baited an L1 from him, but I did know that if you get into the trap, throwing a special attack removes the trap. So that was my strategy. Just whenever he threw a special one, I would have an L1 waiting. I did actually switch my masteries in between these 2 times I took fights, and I switched on Mystic Dispersion 5 for this fight and 1 more. I'm actually going to take a ton of damage in this fight, but like 95% of the damage I take in this fight is actually from Brute Force. I only take one hit in this fight that was not from brute force. And there we go. We actually get in there because I ate L1 to the face. And there I knew to wait out the heavy, and we end the fight with 30%, but that was just a disgustingly bad fight. I didn't actually make any massive mistakes, because had I gone into the fight with the strategy, like knowing that he could reduce non-damaging debuffs. Also, I'm going to pause it right here. So I was not assigned this mode, oh my god, English. Mordo. I was not assigned this Mordo on Mixmaster originally. And then when about two hours maybe before I'm recording this, the guy that is in the fight said, okay, it's midnight for me, I'm going to bed unless this person's going to clear right now. That person was still sleeping, so we said, okay, go to bed, Sam will take your fight. Moleman can easily take this Mordo, and I was like, okay, cool, I mean, I'll take an extra fight. I didn't ask for it or anything, but they just gave it to me, so I'm like, all right, I'm taking the fight. And this guy, we assumed he was asleep because for the next 2 hours he didn't send any messages online. And then I go to take the fight, and right before I was fighting, because the guy on path 3, he took the Mangog that was linking me, which was on, or that was stopping me from moving up, which is on the Masochism node with the Fury buildup. And then he also took Doom with Thing on Power Snack. He took both fights with Thing so that I could move up to this fight. So when he started fighting, one of the officers tagged me and he said, okay, Sam, you can start fighting now. Mordo's going to be open for you soon. And I saw that Mangog went down, so I started fighting as soon as he went into the Doom fight. And I think so. Maybe I started right after Doom went down. I don't actually remember. But I finished my fights, and then I go up to this fight thinking, oh, it's my fight, right? And this guy apparently was still awake, and he was waiting. I wish he had told me, because those skill boosts that I use are actually going to be completely wasted. Because I only have one fight with Moleman in this boosting session. It is the world's easiest fight, and having those tech boosts maybe saved me like 10-12 seconds on the fight time, but it didn't affect the fight in any other way. So I'm not mad, like I don't want to that's not what's happening here. I would have saved some boosts if he just communicated. So I did tell him that, and he's like, okay, I understand, I should have communicated. But yeah, it's not really that big of a deal. I said something in the game chat along the lines of, if I knew I wasn't taking this fight, then I wouldn't have used those boosts, so I just wasted a few boosts. But it's really not a big deal. But just so, in case you thought, or in case you saw the messages I put in there as I was loading up to this fight, that's just a small explanation behind it. Now, I'm not displeased with the amounts of fights I'm getting this season. At the beginning of the season, I definitely was. I was getting an average of 4 fights a war, which was under average. But now I'm not. Now I'm happy. I'm above average. By the end of this war, I will be above average by 3 fights. So that's awesome. This person is running MD5, as you see, as that Fury buff expires. But I do actually have the suppressions that come from getting into the trap against Kraven. So here, he threw the L2. I knew I was going to take some block damage. Luckily, he only has 1 high ground charge. He did have a chance to throw that L1 there, but he didn't, which was nice. But here, I'm going to push him to an L3, get to my L1, and then just throw my L2. But I looked up at my falter, and I saw, oh, I'm about to hit 40. The L2 is going to flop. It's not going to hit. So I waited out. Here, I'm just going to get my opening, and I actually killed him when I was at 58, so 2 away from faltering. So very, very nice finish. Obviously not a super clean fight, but there was actually another guy in my alliance in a different battle group that took that exact same fight, and he died twice because he ate an L2 to the face from Ebony Mob, which of course inflicts the degens and you just die. which was just very unfortunate. I can imagine what that would feel like. I have died to fights twice before. Killmonger boss, Nova boss, way back when. And this Spider-Gwen, this is actually my only Moleman fight of the war. When I was originally assigned fights, I was assigned 3 Moleman fights, and then that became 4 when I was told to take Mordo, and then I decided to not use Moleman for either of the first 2 fights. I was told to use Moleman for both Miles Morales and for Kraven. But I did tell the person, hey, I think it's better if I use these champs instead. They're like, okay, cool. Those champs should be fine, and they were fine. So that's going to be it for that boosting session. And then this is 10-20 minutes ago at the most. By the time we're 10 minutes into the video, so this was 20 minutes ago. And we're going to be taking my last 2 fights of the war. Right here, I am actually using Doom, and I am using Suicides with Doom. And yes, I'm aware that Path 4 has the heal block. However, I'm not going to be throwing specials in this fight. I'm only going to be throwing L3s, so recoil isn't going to matter. And this is also my last Doom fight. Plus, I have an invulnerability boost, so it doesn't matter how much health I lose. Now, I'm only running half Suicides because that's what I use Quake with. But you'll see I'm going to lose about 30% of my health off the start of the fight, just because I don't have the willpower to counteract that bleed damage. But it's actually not that bad. You know, it's not really that much damage. And I'm very comfortable countering his L1 as long as I dex the first hit. If I block it, then I don't feel super comfortable. I can still do it, but I will worry about getting parried. Right here, I was trying to hit the parry because if I could push him to an L3 and then throw my if I could push him to an L2 and then throw my L3, then my chances, just in case the L3 didn't kill, would be better of getting to my special 2 off of my L1. But my L3 is going to get him to 5%, and then I'm going to hit him twice, and he's going to drop. So very, very nice fight. If I could repeat that fight, I would do it the exact same thing. I would still run Suicides. I think that was the correct move. And let's go into our last fight. And this is what that fight was, or this is what those Suicides were for. We have the invulnerability boost still, and this is not the cleanest fight. It is a bit of a long fight. It's going to be Man-Thing on the Safeguard Regen Unblockable node. Quake is, in my opinion, the best counter to this, just because it's super safe. I am actually going to make 2 mistakes in this fight. So one time, I'm going to get hit one time, and if you don't know, Man-Thing has up to a 15% chance to nullify on contact. He's going to hit me once, and he's going to get that 15%, which is going to turn my dex into a postule, which is just awesome. I love that RNG. It's going to be right here, and on this combo right here. Boom. 1 hit nullified. So he's at half a bar power. I'm like, okay, this guy's running MD5, and when that postule expires, he's going to get to an L1. So I'm thinking, okay, I have to be holding heavy when it happens, and I still had my concussion up, which actually prevented the Mystic Dispersion power gain. Now that I'm not done messing up in this fight, but luckily the other mistake that I make is while I have a concussion up on him, I'm actually going to throw a heavy attack. I believe it's right here. Yeah, because I thought he would hit me with the medium, but since I had the because I had the concussion up, he doesn't gain Mystic Dispersion power. Wow, I cannot talk today. So we end up finishing off the fight at 89%, which is pretty much the amount of... Actually, no. That is the exact amount of health that you lose from bleed Suicides, because I actually didn't lose any health from getting hit. So I'm going to pause it right here. This is the current score, 120. We're winning by 1 death, and we are winning on fight duration. They have 6 less fights. Now, statistically, this leaves us somewhere in the range of 1900 seconds ahead, which means that many seconds less if they were to get up to 120, and we'd be winning by at least 1 death. So I don't know if this war is a win or a loss yet, but whatever's in the description is going to be correct. We're moving fast this war. I suspect by the time I wake up, we'll be at 140, 145. and the war will be pretty much over. My BG still has not died. We're looking to... Actually, you know what? No one's going to see this recording until after the war's over, so I can say what I want. We're going to go for the donut and see if we can get it. But that's going to be it. That's 2 wars in a row that I've not been pleased with my performance, but I've not died. So, yeah. It was a great war overall. It was just that one fight. Oh my god, it was so bad. But it was only because of the brute force. And yeah, like I said, I don't know if we win this war, so we're either going to be 5-3 or we're going to be 4-4. We've lost literally our last 2 wars. No, actually, 2 of our last 3 wars, excuse me. So we are hoping to win this one, because this was definitely a much easier matchup than our last few. Death total for me is still at 0. My PSR of the season is at 43 out of 43. Now, that would be less than normal if this was actually the 9th war. It is war 9, but it is the 8th war because we missed one of the wars. So I am technically 3 above the average. And my Deathless streak is up to 72, so it's really getting up there. I don't think it'll make it to 100, but no, it definitely won't make it to 100 by the end of the season, but it might be at like 90 or something like that. So that's going to be all from me. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next video.